Every art I have ever made that someone called beautiful, Frankenstein. Mishmash of 20 Pinterest images, a printed template, and an X-Acto knife. I have never made anything freehand in my life. People call me talented for years. Every time I smiled and I said thank you, and I felt like a complete fraud. This is the story of why and what I'm finally doing about it. I have always loved art. If the human mind dreamed it and the human hand made it, for me, that's art, and I love it. The problem is, I can't make it. I tried many medias. As an example, let me tell you about my cake decorating journey. I got into cake decorating, making fondant cake decorations, little sculpted details, things that looked super impressive on a finished cake. And people would see those cakes and say, "Oh my God, that is amazing, you're so talented." And every time without fail, I will feel very uncomfortable because it felt like I was lying to them. What they were actually looking at was a beautiful fondant-covered Frankenstein stitched together from maybe 20 different cakes I had found as inspiration. The shape from the first image, the color scheme for the cake from another, the little details picked off a third, a fourth, a fifth. Back in the days, that meant hours on Google Images, and if you're old enough to remember searching for things before Pinterest existed, you know exactly the kind of rabbit hole I'm talking about. Flicking through pages after pages, saving things to a folder, and honestly, more often than not, just dumping it on the desktop because somehow it felt easier. Every single element was traced, every shape cut from a template. Nothing, not one thing, drawn freehand from my own imagination. It looked like talent, but it wasn't mine, and I was just the assembler, the construction worker, and never the architect. For years, I just thought, that's it, that's my limit. I can copy, I can trace, I can build from other people's blueprint, but I cannot create, until I found out why. A few years ago, I was talking to my sister and she mentioned completely out of nowhere that she had aphantasia. She explained it, and somewhere in that conversation, I went very quiet because she was describing me. I have aphantasia. Here's what it means in plain English. When you close your eyes and picture a ball, most people actually see a ball. In their mind, clear as a photograph or at least a rough sketch. Some people see it in full color, some people can rotate it, zoom in, and even change the lighting. When I close my eyes and try to picture a ball, I get nothing. Blank, black. I wasn't being lazy when I needed to trace things. I wasn't taking shortcuts because I couldn't be bothered. I literally could not hold a picture in my mind to work from. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you this because I spent years believing a lie that art was for other people. People with natural talent. People who were just wired differently than me. And I accepted that. I stepped back. I told myself I just admire art from a distance. Leave the making of it to everyone else. Finding out about aphantasia cracked something open. It meant I wasn't bad at art because I lacked talent. I wasn't failing because I was less creative or less capable than other people. I was just struggling because I've been trying to use a tool I don't have without knowing most people have it. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing at all. Now, I really want to find out what I can do. Not just for me, but because I think there are a lot of people out there who gave up on creative things they loved because they decided early on that they weren't the type, that it wasn't for them, that real artists are born and everyone else should just watch. I don't believe that anymore, and this channel is me trying to prove it. Okay, let's dive in and find out how it goes. So here's the experiment. This channel is called the Untalented Copycat. Every video, I follow a tutorial from a real watercolor artist. The link will always be in the description. Go watch their version too. And I paint alongside them. No tracing, no safety net. Today I'm following Hannah's tutorial. She's at Henna and Print. I picked this one because there's a minimum amount of sketching involved, which I thought would be forgiving for a first attempt. And honestly, it's gorgeous. Looking at it, I genuinely have no idea where I would even start or how anyone gets to that result, which felt like exactly the right place to begin. One more thing before I start. I'm not doing this to make something beautiful. I mean, I'd love that, but that's not the point right now. The point is to make something, to experience making it, to let it be imperfect and still decide that it was worth doing. Because I spent years only putting my name on things that looked finished and polished and assembled, but assembled from other people's perfection. This is the first time I'm letting something just be my work. Rough edges, muddy colors, and all. Obviously, I'm following a tutorial, but it's gonna be all my doing and all my mistakes. And that feels important, even if the painting isn't. And I'm not just building skills here, I'm building confidence. One tutorial at a time in public with nowhere to hide, and you're invited to watch every messy step of it. If you can relate to my story in any ways, the loving art and not being able to make it, the tracing, the Pinterest folders full of other people's ideas, the aphantasia, the beginning a new journey in art, please subscribe. This is exactly who this channel is for. New video coming every other week. All right, moment of truth. Here's Hannah's beach sunset. And drum roll, here's mine. Okay, I'm gonna give you a second to take it in. Yeah, that's not great. The tape did not do what tape is supposed to do. It ripped my paper right here, and you saw me, I had to add some color to try to fix it. A bunch of red got under here, and it totally made a tree line in the middle of the ocean. But I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna say that it's still beautiful. You can pretend that there's some land back there that nobody sees, and these are trees. If I showed this to somebody who didn't know what I was doing, they probably just say, oh, wow, what a beautiful sky. So I will call it a win because the colors look amazing. I love the sky. I love that I made the beach close to black. Never in a million years would I think to make sand a dark color, and it makes total sense. If you want to find out whether or not this was a fluke, please subscribe and hit the bell. That's generally the only way to know. I have two questions for you. One, who's the YouTube watercolor artist that you think might help me on my journey? And two, had you ever heard about aphantasia before? And most importantly, do you think you or someone you know might have it? Let me know in the comments. If you have enjoyed this video in any way, please give it a like. It helps the channel grow. That's episode 1. It went badly in a lot of ways, but I learned that you can still do beautiful things and you can just move on from the mistakes and keep going and see it through. And I will see you in episode 2 where I attempt to paint a beautiful galaxy painting. Wish me luck.